DOBE, manufacturers of the products we'll feature in this video, have gone where no one else has, at least to my knowledge. Now, because we do big things around here, this is a double feature video. We have the TNS1188 and the TNS2163. While they look identical, I assure you they are not. And of course, to know what makes one of these products so amazing, you'll have to watch this video. Hi, I'm Clef and you're watching gametechtalk. Okay, we're gonna jump in just after this massive announcement. Now, it goes without saying DOBE did send out these products for review, but in spirit of giving back to the community, I asked if they'd be willing to offer a unit for giveaway, and they agreed. Well, sort of. I asked for a controller to give, but the good people at DOBE sent 14 controllers for me to give out. 14, guys. So I'll explain the rules at the end of this video, but until we get there, pay attention to the top right corner, after which you'll find letters and/or numbers appear. Make sure to write these down, case sensitive, in order, as you'll need them to participate in the giveaway. It goes without saying, DOBE has not seen this video, no scripts or keynotes were provided, and they are subject to my honest and unfiltered opinion, and we'll get to see what those are at the same time as everybody else. Starting with the TNS1188, we have what I will call a cradle controller. I don't know if that term has been coined already, but moving on. A cradle controller says all that needs to be said, and if somehow DOBE seemed familiar since the start of this video, it's because as far as I know, they gave the world the first one I've seen, this one. While I never reviewed this product, I compared it to the retro flag and a short form video. Both TNS models shares every buttons and triggers that you'd expect from a Switch controller and or Joy-Con. Much like the previous one, the face button, the D-pad are membrane based, whereas function buttons are all dome switches. You may have noticed that each side have an extra button versus what is usually on a Nintendo's product. The right one serves to activate the turbo function and should be pretty self-explanatory, but allow me to show you how simple it is. You have 3 modes. By default, there are no turbo, obviously. In Mario Wonders, A serves to bring up your stored power-up. If you hold T while pushing once, it'll activate the turbo, but only when you hold the button, like so. If you repeat that process, it'll now turbo the A button without you having to touch the button at all. Quite easy, right? And then if you do it again, you simply remove the turbo function. Also, a feature I have not seen on other turbo-capable controllers is that you can adjust the speed of the burst. By holding T and pushing the D-pad up, it'll vibrate, and that means the burst is increased, or holding T and down to decrease. The burst seems to affect every buttons that are compatible with turbo, that is all of them except function ones, so minus, plus, screenshot, and home are out the picture. The left side is where it gets interesting and what will also direct us to the back of this gamepad. As you can see here, you'll find 4 paddles, and as I'm sure you now guessed it, those paddles can be reassigned to nearly every button. The only exception are home and screenshot. So if you want a button to be plus, you can map that. If you want to map a button to say L3, you can map that as well. So how is this process done? You want to hold the little gear button until the LED flashes. When it flashes slowly, it means it received a command. Once you push a button, it'll record that button, and then simply tap the paddle key that you wish to assign the button to, and voila. If ever you'd like to change it, all you have to do is repeat the process, or if you want to remove values from the key altogether, just don't push any button while having the slow flash, and just hit the paddle you wish to reset, and then so it will be. That is an amazing feature, and one that can make your gaming overall more pleasant, more intuitive, or just more convenient. I'm extremely happy that back paddles are becoming the norm, as despite not always being used, I'm glad to have them for when they are. Other than that, this controller houses 4 slots for cartridges and also has a kickstand, making it so that your OG Switch or OLED Switch, as both are compatible, can still stand up, even if in your cradle. And last but not least, the controller also has a charging port. However, I wish it was designed elsewhere than under the right side of the ergonomic grip. In a pinch, you can play while tethered to the wall, but let's be real, the cord will undoubtedly be in the way. Before moving on to the next controller, which sports a unique feature, here's a few more that both share. Starting with shoulder buttons, all 4 are on membrane. They feel just fine, better than Joy-Cons, about on par with the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. They are extremely silent, maybe not a benefit to all, but to me, I appreciate keeping distraction sounds to a minimum, and it's why I notice these subtleties. For example, I wouldn't want to distract you with a 1 minute long monologue about how you can support this channel, but a subscription, a like, or even a comment would all be greatly appreciated. The other component to address are the sticks. For all intents and purposes, they are great. They also feel better than joycons, which I hadn't expected because they are smaller. The difference lies in them being slightly concave, which makes them feel wider than they are. I still would have preferred mid to large sticks, as the bigger the better, but what is there is fine and remains an improvement both in feel and overall precision. They are also friendlier to a wider audience. I'm thinking specifically for young ones. In fact, ever since unpacking these, they have become my kids' default go-to's controller. The best thing about these that I congratulate DOBE on are the ergonomics. Not only are they light, super slim despite packing so much, they contour the hands just perfectly, better than competitors in my personal testings. I also find the overall sensation to be superior than something like the Satisfy grip in comparison, which is crazy considering that those controllers cost less than the grips themselves. The shell also has the slight grittiness that you'd expect from clear plastic, but they also designed the palm grips to have a different texture. Great attention to details that heightens the overall experience. 6-axis gyroscope is supported, NFC Amiibo isn't, rumble is present, but it is not HD, as is the case with any third-party controller. The back where the Switch sits has felt fabric to not scratch your console, but also those lip do as well to protect the front. Alright, I made you guys wait long enough. The TNS2163 model looks just about the same from the front, as we pointed out earlier. And every function we discussed prior is here too, nothing changes. So let's list the differences. First, there are no more charging port under the right side. Second is 2 paddles in the back rather than 4, and we now went from 4 game cartridges slots to 2. If we shift our attention to the left though, integrated into the controller is effectively a dock, and that is a killer feature. You have your HDMI out, you have your USB-C charging port, you even have a USB-A port to connect or charge whatever else floats your boat. And last, you have the big round button that lets you move from docked mode back to portable while staying tethered. I know it sounds unnecessary to some, and it will be, but you have no idea just how convenient that is, especially for a parent. We go on vacation, no need to bring a dock. My kid wants to play Switch and the monitor in his room no longer need a dock. Heck, my wife loves Luigi's Mansion, and of course we never installed the dock in our bedroom, but with this controller, we had the Switch fired up for the first time since owning one to do some pajama Luigi Mansion party. And not only that, because the charging port is facing up, I can now sit my Switch wherever I want and just use the charger that's there rather than having to remove its attachment. Don't get me wrong, I like 4 paddles, I do. The game cartridge slots, I personally don't care for them, but that dock feature is everything I did not know I wanted. But then it came into my life and I thought of how to adapt that into my space. As a PC gamer, more specifically a PC handheld gamer, you know what I have lying around the house? Steam Deck docks. That I have. You know what those docks are not compatible with? The Nintendo Switch. And because the Nintendo Switch dock is so bulky, I only installed one despite owning many. But with this, I can leverage the options that have since populated my TVs, my monitors, and I can go from portable to docked everywhere in the household or out without ever needing more than an HDMI cable and power. Which, talking about it, I will not recommend that you use anything other than Nintendo's official power brick, but you can bet that I used whatever was previously installed in my Steam Deck docks. And guess what? I have not ran into a single issue. So don't do like me, do the right thing. But as far as I'm concerned, I will trust that DOBE knew to put intelligent power delivery to prevent any risks. And that concludes our video. I want to thank DOBE for sending these review units, but in all fairness, that is an exchange of service, hence why I feel no shame in telling you that I'm not a fan of their D-pad, most likely because Nintendo designed a terrible one to begin with. The D-pad is hardly ever being used on the Switch, and let it be said, I don't mind that at all. I do want to address one more thing before saying goodbye, and it is the giveaway. Normally, I design my videos to be able to remove the giveaway portion once it is done, but seeing how generous DOBE was, I will not. So this giveaway will run exactly for 1 month past the release of this video. The ending date should come up on screen. If you see it after the fact, I'm sorry to inform you that the giveaway is no more. To participate, here are the criterias. Be a Canadian or US resident, watch and find the 3 annotations on this video, comment on both this video and the secret one. You will be disqualified if you're found to have more than 1 entry by using multiple accounts, comment the annotation timestamps URL link, YouTube account created after October 31st, 2023, fail to fulfill any participation prerequisites. Anything else about the raffles will be addressed in the secret video. Now, this is not my first giveaway using the system, nor is it the last, but something did change. Being a subscriber is by no means a requirement, but if you feel like you'd give me your sub anyway, I'll happily accept it, and will do my absolute best to not disappoint. And also, I mentioned Steam Deck docs earlier, so I'd like to suggest a piece of content that I did that addresses 15 reasons why buying a Steam Deck still remains a great option. That video remains extremely relevant to this day, so I invite you to watch it if you have a bit more time to allow me. Cheers.